Okay. Hello, everybody. I am Megan with Everybody Yoga with Megan, and I have one of my favorite humans here with me tonight, Miss Rachelle. We are going to talk about iRest, Integrative Restoration, a form of yoga nidra that actually Rachelle brought into my life 9 years ago. And, the fates align sometimes when we don't even realize it. And tonight is our anniversary of the reason that I felt called to need a deeper meditation practice. So super just magical to have that all come together. So Rachelle, will you give us a brief intro about yourself?
Sure. Yeah. And I just want to say, Megan, you were one of the first studios in Lubbock to invite me in as an iRest teacher, I think.
Really?
Mhm. Yeah. And to this day, if that was 9 years ago, I still have some of the students from those series I taught who come weekly and practice.
I love that.
Yeah, do you remember the mother-daughter pair who she brought her daughter to a series? And her daughter is now my babysitter. I mean, it's just, yeah. And the mom still comes weekly while her daughter babysits my child, so I can teach.
So I have chills. Like, obviously, leaving the studio and what that ended up being in my life was very painful. But to know that something so beautiful came out of it, I did not know that. That makes me so happy.
And there's another ongoing student/client I have that I know I met there too. Yeah.
That touches me. I'm glad to know that. Thank you.
Yeah. So let's see, I have been a certified yoga therapist in Lubbock for 10 years. And an iRest meditation teacher here for 9 years. They're both practices I deeply love. I'm now a licensed professional counselor associate, but working through the body, working somatically with stress and trauma and anxiety and depression and loss. Those are, or we could just say also the nervous system. That's really my passion. So I'm bringing all of my somatic modalities under this umbrella of counselor, because I really believe that so many, I don't like calling them diseases, but disorders, but like so many symptoms, so many presentations of disturbance in the body are a result of emotions and stress that are trapped in the body, and they can't be resolved by a top-down cognitive process. They really need to be approached from a bottom-up, body embodied process. So that's right where I take my son. Yeah.
So I gotta say, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm just gonna own it. I'm on a boat. It's rocking. The gimbal's not keeping up. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Great. We all wish we were there with you, actually.
You all are here in my heart in Grenada with me. So my personal experience with iRest, you kind of gave me one question as a, hey, this is what the offering is, and it was magical. I felt very grounded and also very open and very just everywhere and nowhere all at once. That probably doesn't make a lot of sense up front, but after having gone to a deeper training to come back home to myself, can you share with us what do you mean when you say a somatic experience?
Yeah, soma just means of the body, the lived experience in flesh. So our culture has moved so much of our life and processing into our heads. We think about it, we analyze it, but we're not experiencing the present moment in our bodies. And somatic just means a return to the soma, a return to the lived flesh experience. So feeling yourself in the body, meeting your emotions in the body, feeling present and alive and grounded in experience versus trapped up here. That's a very different place from which to live.
And it definitely, when we tap into the physical body, I have gotten better at the practice instead of saying like I'm anxious and just like owning it. Like I'm an anxious person. This is just who I am.
Yeah.
Okay, no, but why is anxiety present? And coming into, I now kind of view my anxiety as my oldest friend. My anxiety has been
Hmm.
here as long as I can remember. And
Well, it
now
was
that I'm under,
adaptive.
yeah,
At some point,
yeah,
it was adaptive and it
it was
helped you
serving a
survive.
purpose. Hmm.
Mhm.
And now learning that, like, when my anxiety comes up, it's a friend with a message. It's here to tell me
Mhm.
something. It's not the
Mhm.
enemy, you know. Um, so
And that it's
how
passing
does that
through.
happen? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not you, it's passing through.
So tell
Anxiety is
us more
here.
about that. Like, what does that mean? It's passing through.
Yeah. Oh, oh, this is such good stuff. We need an hour.
We
Um,
do.
so iRest is grounded in a non-dual perspective, and yet it's a secular approach that can be applied no matter what your spiritual or non-spiritual beliefs are. But non-dualism posits that there's a place in us that's not changing, that is forever and will be forever. And even if you're not religious or spiritual, you can kind of see that that might be your awareness, like a place that's not changing, that is going to still be around when the body's gone. And then there's everything that's changing. The body's changing, your thoughts are changing, your breath is even changing, your mood is changing, your deeply held beliefs as you grow and go through things, they're changing. The experience of joy is changing. So it's like all these movements of the human experience are changing, but they're changing against this unchanging background. So anxiety is one of those movements. And yogic philosophy says everything that's changing goes through a life cycle. It's born, it grows, it plateaus, it declines, it disappears. So if everything that's changing goes through a life cycle, that includes anxiety, because
Yeah.
anxiety is a changing movement. So it's going to be born, and then it's going to grow, it'll peak out, and eventually it will decline and disappear. And the sooner we learn to catch it at its birth or its growth and get the message, then it may not have to climb as high to peak before it
Yeah.
starts
We don't have to
downhill.
sit with it as long before it
Right.
goes.
Things
Yeah.
have to get so loud in us before we actually listen to them, and that's, I think, what a lot of symptomology is. The messengers having to get so loud to get our attention.
Yeah. I mean, I
So
described it for a long time like a chaos inside me. Like things were just
mhm.
swirling because I wasn't listening to any of it. I was
Yeah,
like ignoring it, right? Like, yeah,
yeah,
I'm fine. Everything's fine. We're
yeah,
fine. And
yeah,
really, my body was screaming, we're not fine.
yeah.
We're not
Please
fine.
listen to
Listen
me.
to us. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So, what does an iRest session look like?
Yeah. So a group meditation practice is approximately 30 to 35 minutes long. Um, you're lying down, so it's a meditation where you get to lay down, which I love because
It's
it's so
so
much
cozy.
yeah, it's so much easier to drop in. We're not having to think about sitting straight and holding your spine up and the tension that goes with that. So you really get to drop in, and my voice guides the whole 30 to 35 minutes. So my voice can be a pointer to things to pay attention to, or you might have your own meditation unfolding and disregard my voice altogether and just come back to it when you need tethered back to presence. But it's a 35-minute guided restorative meditation practice. And then,
So, one of my favorite parts of it is that kind of body sensing
yeah.
to help me remember, like,
Mhm.
these toes, these fingers, this breath. Like
Mhm.
that body sensing really helps me dial
Mhm.
in.
Absolutely. That's what we've forgotten is what it feels like to be in the body. And it's really a delicious return.
I love that.
Mhm.
So, what aside, I always say anxiety because that's what I know and that's what I understand. But what
Mhm.
else can iRest help us kind of return to neutral with?
Mhm. Mm. Any emotion, depression, anger, excitement, understanding any emotion that's moving through. But I think my favorite piece of the iris meditation is learning and helping other people learn how to rest in the place that's not changing. And iRest calls that the inner resource, right? Like learning how that you have a sanctuary inside yourself that's ever present, that's never been hurt, that's not going away, and how to feel yourself there as that and identify as that instead of as anxiety, grief, loss, excitement, anger, depression, right? That's life changing.
It is life changing.
Mm-hmm. To be able to somatically, like in a felt sense way, position yourself in that experience is life changing.
So if somebody wants to schedule a session with you, how do they do that?
Mm-hmm. Well, you can find me on Psychology Today in Lubbock as a counselor, and my website is undergoing changes and about to be archived and redone, but currently it's still up at breatheeatheal.com. And you can contact me through either of those places.
I love that. Breathe, eat, heal. Ah, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate your time. 10 minutes is never enough. But
Yeah,
I hope
that was a packed 10 minutes. That was a packed 10 minutes.
Yeah. There's a
Great
lot
to
in
see
there.
you.
Anybody has questions, you know where to find me. I can help you find Rachelle. And my hope for all of us is that we return to our inner resource and live a life where our emotions are messengers and not drivers.
Thank you so much for having me, Megan.
Thank you. I love you.
Yeah, see you. Love you too.
Bye. Thanks, everybody.